Hi, welcome to No More Selling. No more than you ever thought you could, or even should, to find more prospects, win more business, and provide more client value. My name is Sam Richter, and today I'm going to share with you my No More program, how to find information in ways you never thought possible, and then use that information to grow your business. Now I'm going to say something rather profound. See if you agree with me. The internet has changed the way people buy and sell. But I'm not talking about the way you might be thinking. I'm not talking about online auctions or Amazon or eBay or e-commerce or reverse auctions. What I'm talking about is the traditional role of buyer and seller. See, Google hasn't been around that long. A lot of people think, or we feel, that it's kind of been around forever. But as you know, it's really not been around that long. It's certainly not been around as long as selling has been around. So if we think about the traditional role of buyer and seller, if we go back to those years, oh wow, even 20 years ago. Remember those days when prospects used to give you 2 hours of their day? You used to take people out for 2-hour lunches or a 4-hour golfing event or a 3-hour sporting event. Now, why was that? Because before Google, if information is power, who had the information? The information about your company, your products, your services. Well, you did. And so prospects were willing to give you 2 hours out of their day because they needed to learn about you. Well, fast forward to today. What percentage of your prospects have already Googled you before you even walk in the room? Well, according to studies, for business to business in particular, 93% of your buyers have already Googled you before you even walk in for that sales call. They have what we call buyer's intelligence. They're smart about you. So what's your excuse? What's your excuse for not having sales intelligence? For understanding the other person before you walk in the room? You know, there's literally trillions of pieces of data floating around our heads because most of us have wireless internet access. Trillions of pieces of data. The key is, how do we take data and translate that into information? Take information and transform that into knowledge and then act on that knowledge so we can grow our business. And that's what you're going to learn today. You know, I think Stephen Schiffman says it really well. If you can figure out why somebody does something in a particular way, how they do it, why they do it that way, and can you help them do it a little bit better, a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more profitably, that's how you're successful. You know, there's a great quote, it's attributed to President Roosevelt, that I think is so applicable today. And that is, nobody cares how much you know. They don't. They don't care about your products. They don't care about your features. They don't care about your benefits. They don't care about your catalog. And unfortunately, as salespeople, too many of us go in and we talk about ourselves. See, you have to understand that the buyer, your prospect, doesn't care about you. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. See, most of you out there sell what I call a commodity. And my definition of a commodity is quite simple. I can find it somewhere else, usually less expensive than if I were to do business with you. So the only thing you have is your ability to differentiate, to provide value, to show the other person that you're genuinely interested in their success. That's the why we're here. That's the why we're watching the No More program. The how is about the 4th R. You know, we've all gone to school learning that if we master the 3 R's of reading, writing, and arithmetic, we can communicate effectively, we understand a budget, that we're going to be successful. Well, I would argue in today's world, we all have to become masters of the 4th R, or research. Not to say that you have to become some sort of a librarian or anything like that, but a few years ago, this amazing tool called Google dropped right in our laps. How many of you think that Google's important? How many of you think that it's even critical to your business? How many of you have ever read the Google manual? Well, that's because there's no such thing as the Google manual. This amazing tool dropped into our laps and it was pretty easy to use. You type a couple things in and stuff shows up. And then other tools like news search engines, the invisible web, which we'll learn about, social networks, they all work pretty well. You just go in and you type some things and it kind of works. The key is actually learning how to use them effectively as intelligence gathering, as sales intelligence gathering, as relationship intelligence gathering tools. And that's what we're here to learn about today. You see, when you have the fourth R, you get 4 more R's. Relationships. We are in the relationship business. Now, you might think you're in the widget business, you're in the selling this business or servicing that business, but no, you're in the relationship business because, again, I can probably find your product, your service somewhere else less expensively than I'm going to pay you. So the only thing we have is the value we provide other people. Resilience. How many of you are closing the deal after the first phone call? It doesn't happen very often. So how do we stay in front of our prospects? How do we even stay in front of our clients in ways that are meaningful to what they care about? See, all too often, the only time we communicate with our prospects and our clients is when we have to sell them something. How about staying in front of them in ways that they care about, so they actually look forward to your communication? Referrals. Still the best way to grow our business. Most of us ask for referrals from a position of weakness. We're going to learn how to ask for referrals from a position of strength. And finally, relevance. Again, this is all about the other person. It's not about us. It's not about our company. It's about them. How can we help our prospects and our clients achieve their objectives, achieve their goals, achieve their bonus? When we do that, that's when we win more business. See, at the end of the day, all of us are amazingly passionate about one thing. Your clients, your prospects are amazingly passionate about one thing. What is it? Themselves. Themselves. Everybody's passionate about themselves. And yet, as salespeople, what do? We go and talk about ourselves. How about talking about the other person? Making the other person feel important. You know, you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I think this is a critical concept as we think about know more. Let's go through it real quick. At the bottom of Maslow's needs is food, air, and water. So these are the human needs, the human desires we have, and obviously we need food, air, and water to live. The next one's safety and security. In today's world, we need a house, we need heat, we need air conditioning depending on where we live. The next one is love and belonging and really being part of something. At the top of the pyramid is what we call self-actualization. Very few people ever reach self-actualization. These are the folks that are kind of, they're just always in a great mood. They've achieved everything in life. Now, here's the part that's really interesting, and it's directly related to what we're learning in Know More. Right below self-actualization, frankly, above food, air, and water, is the need to feel important. It's a human desire, a human need to feel wanted, to feel important. Imagine the power you can have as a salesperson, as a relationship manager, as an account person, walking in and every interaction you have with a prospect or client, you're making them feel important. It's the psychology. It's a human need we have to make the other person feel important. That's why we're here. Now, just as a side note, I recently saw that there's another level of the pyramid, that what people really want today is free internet access. So again, all this stuff is critical as we think about knowing more. Because when you make the other person feel important, when you're connecting on that personal, that meaningful, that genuine level, where you're relevant to the other person's world, how are they going to earn their bonus? How are they going to achieve their business objectives, their personal objectives? When you're doing that, you have permission to ask better questions. How many of you have ever taken a formal sales training course? There's lots of them out there. Miller, Hyman, value-based selling, provocative selling, Dale Carnegie, all wonderful courses. And all of them are based on the premise that you've got to ask great questions. But the key thing that I think most sales training programs miss is they don't tell you how do you get the information to ask the great questions. How do you gain permission to ask great questions? See, oftentimes we go into a sales meeting, a client meeting, and we've all read the books, we've read the manuals. We just start asking questions. We start peppering our prospects and our clients with questions. The reality is you don't have permission to ask questions. How do you gain that permission? You gain that permission by having information about the other person, making the other person feel important. And you'll see what I mean as we go through the No More program together.